Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tip. We're right ahead of week 13 of the fantasy hockey season, guys, which is the last week before the playoffs begin. I'm going to give you some guys in this video that can help you win that week, get you into the playoffs, and then hopefully help you win the playoffs as well. My name is Julian, guys, and before we get into it, please leave a like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter. I would really appreciate your support. Without further ado, guys, let's jump into the schedule for week 13. So guys, the off nights for this coming week are Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Now, there are a lot of teams that play this week, almost every single team, but that doesn't really matter because there's a good amount of games every single night. So you should be able to fit pretty much everybody in your lineup on any given day next week, which is really good news. Now, there's one team that only plays 2 games, and that's Vancouver, assuming that they do end up starting on Friday like is planned, whereas every other team plays 3 or 4, so pretty much having any players from any team except for Vancouver is very good for you next week. Now, there are a few teams that have a really good off-night schedule with 3 of the 4 off nights. Those teams are Anaheim, Boston, Calgary, Colorado, LA, and Vegas. Now, jumping into some forwards you can add to help you win the week. First on the list, guys, is Jacob Voracek, Philadelphia Flyers, 44% owned. And the reason he's doing well now is because he's playing on a line with Giroux and Konechny, and he's also getting top power play time. So as long as he keeps getting that top power play time and keeps playing with a guy like Giroux and Konechny, well, he's going to continue to do well. You can definitely have him on your lineup right now. It will not hurt at all. Next is Phil Kessel, Arizona Coyotes, 44% owned, and he's insanely hot right now. He's got 14 points in his last 11 games, and as long as he stays hot like this, we know Phil Kessel is able to produce. So put him in your lineup until he starts to cool down. Next is Jared McCann, Pittsburgh Penguins, 38% owned, and he's insanely valuable right now. He's playing on that second Pittsburgh Penguins line, and he's also getting top power play time. Now, this may not last for that much longer because I do expect Evgeny Malkin to be back within a week or two. So McCann is great to get you into the playoffs. He's not necessarily great once you get into the playoffs because Malkin will be on that top power play and McCann won't be there anymore. So, yeah, he may still be on the second line with Malkin if they even decide to keep him there, but his value does go down significantly. So, yeah, he's a guy that can get you into the playoffs. He's not necessarily someone that can carry you through the playoffs. Next is Andre Burakovsky, Colorado Avalanche, 38% owned. And he's another guy that can get you into the playoffs, but not necessarily carry you through the playoffs because he's a very hot and cold guy. Right now, he's very, very hot, so stream him. But as soon as he cools down, he's a guy that does absolutely nothing when he's cold. Right now, he's doing well, so he should be able to carry your team into the playoffs, but you may have to drop him once you get into the playoffs. Next is Jack Hughes, New Jersey Devils, 37% owned. He's finally started to heat up. I thought it was never going to happen, but looks like it finally has. He's playing on the top line with Kuokkanen and Sharangovich. That's where Zajac was playing, but Zajac was traded. So now it looks like Hughes is going to be on that top line, and he's still getting top power play time. So I actually really like grabbing Jack Hughes right now. Next is Jordan Eberle, New York Islanders, 34% owned. And Barzal is insanely hot right now, and he plays on a line with Barzal on both his line and on the power play. So as long as Barzal keeps dishing out the points, well, Eberle is going to get some assists and some goals from him as well. Eberle makes for a pretty good ad. Next is Jason Robertson, Dallas Stars, 33% owned. And it seems that everything this kid touches turns to gold. No matter where he plays, he produces. He's on the top power play, he produces. He's on the top line, he produces. He makes guys that aren't producing start producing. He's playing with Hintz and Pavelski right now, and Hintz is on a tear right now. So Robertson is a guy that should be way over 50% owned, and he's someone that can carry you through this week and through the playoffs. Next is Victor Arvidsson, Nashville Predators, 33% owned, and he's been very, very hot lately. He plays on the top line. He also gets a good amount of power play time, and as long as he keeps putting the puck in the net, well, it's time to grab him because he wasn't that great all season long. He's finally starting to produce. Next is Kirby Dach, Chicago Blackhawks, 23% owned, and he's another guy that I think can carry you through this week and carry you through the playoffs. Because not only is he skating on the top line with Patrick Kane and DeBrincat, he's also skating on that top power play with those two guys. Dach is someone who's very, very valuable right now and should be owned in over 50% of leagues. Next is Pavel Zacha, New Jersey Devils, 16% owned. He's currently playing on a line with Wood and Bratt, and we all know that Bratt is super hot right now, and so is Zacha. He's got 6 points in his last 4 games. He's another guy that when he's hot, you absolutely need to add him to your team because he's going to put up the points. When he's cold, you can probably drop him, but he can at least carry you through this week and get you into the playoffs. Next is Craig Smith, Boston Bruins, 13% owned, and I actually think that he may be a long-term hold. There's an asterisk there because It depends if he stays on that line with Bergeron and Marchand because he's really excelling there right now. So if he stays there, he can be a guy that can carry you through this week and carry you through the playoffs. As soon as he's taken off that line, though, I don't like him so much anymore. But he's a guy that shoots the puck a lot, and he's putting up points now because he's playing with Marchand and Bergeron. I absolutely love him, at least to get you to the playoffs right now. Next are Yarncroke and Granlund on the Nashville Predators. They're playing on that second line with Luke Kunin, but they're both getting top power play time, which is what I like. The great thing about them is they're also pretty hot right now too. So if you're desperate, you're in a deeper league, you need someone that can put in some points, well, those guys are guys that can help you. But they wouldn't be my first guys to add. I'd look at other guys that I have on this list first. Next is Connor Brown, Ottawa Senators 10% owned, and he's currently on a 6-game goal streak. That's all you need to know right now. Ride this guy while he is hot. Drop him once he cools down. He's playing on the top power play, and he's a guy that can hopefully carry you through this week. He may be a drop after that, though, once he cools down. Next are Miles Wood and Yegor Sharangovich, New Jersey Devils, 4% and 2% owned. Like I said, a lot of Devils players are really hot right now. Sharangovich is playing with Hughes, who's very hot, and Wood is playing with Zaka and Brett. Jumping into some defensemen, guys, this list is very similar to last week's list, but Josh Morrissey, Winnipeg Jets, 46% owned, is first on the list, and he's still playing on Winnipeg's top power play, so as long as he stays there, he has a good amount of value. Even when he's cold, he should turn it around soon, so don't drop him, don't despair. He should be able to put up some points for you. And he's also shooting a decent amount, and he's blocking a shot here and there, so he's valuable for that as well. Next is Matthias Ekholm, Nashville Predators, 41% owned, and he's still getting that second power play time, and he's still playing pretty well. So if you need someone that can help you get through the next few weeks, well, Ekholm is someone that should put up an okay amount of points. Next is Jared Spurgeon, Minnesota Wild, 41% owned, and he's been insanely hot lately. He's on Minnesota's first power play, and it looks like they're keeping him there. Guys, if you need a defenseman that's going to help you right now and also probably carry you through the playoffs, Jared Spurgeon is that guy because he is a very talented defenseman. He's their captain, and he can put in some points. Next is Ryan Graves, Colorado Avalanche, 36% owned, and he's really great for mostly categories leagues because he puts up really good plus-minus numbers, he blocks shots, he shoots every once in a while, and he'll put up actually a decent amount of points, mostly because he's playing with Cale Makar. He's had a little bit of a cold stretch recently, but as long as he stays with Cale Makar, I'm not too worried. Ryan Graves makes for a pretty good ad and could help you for the rest of the season. Next is Filip Hronek, Detroit Red Wings, 29% owned, and he only has 1 point in his last 6 games, but he continues to get a good amount of power play time, and he's going to get a lot of ice time every single game. His plus-minus isn't too bad considering he plays on Detroit, and if you're in a really deep league and you need someone that can potentially put up a good amount of points, well, Hronek is your guy. Next is Brett Pesce, Carolina Hurricanes, 21% owned. He's a very well-rounded defenseman. He blocks a good amount, he shoots a good amount, he puts up a decent amount of points, and he also skates on that second power play, so he should be able to continue to put up a decent amount of points. If you really need a defenseman, well, Brett Pesce is a pretty good option. Someone I like a little bit better than Brett Pesce, though, is Alex Goligoski, Arizona Coyotes, 21% owned, and he's insanely hot right now, so much so that Arizona is playing him on their top power play. He's up to 9 points in his last 9 games, and people are asking if he's sustainable. Yeah, actually he is, because now he's on that top power play. So as long as he stays there, as long as he keeps putting up the points, he's a guy that can definitely help you, carry you to the playoffs, and help you in the playoffs as well, as long as he stays in that deployment. Next is Ty Smith, New Jersey Devils, 20% owned, and I like him only in points leagues. If you have him in a categories league, drop him. He's not very useful, but he is a guy that can potentially put up some points for you because he plays on the top power play in New Jersey. So if you're desperate for some points, well, he's a guy that you can add, and he should put up a point here and there. Next is Adam Boquist, Chicago Blackhawks, 8% owned, and he's another guy that you can add if you're desperate for points. I don't absolutely love him, but he is still getting that top power play time, so he could explode at any time. Next is Shane Goss, for your Philadelphia Flyers, 5% owned, and he continues to get a lot of power play time every single game. Yeah, he's a plus-minus liability, but if you really need points, he's a guy that you can add, and he's available in 95% of leagues. Should put up a few points. Next is Mike Matheson, Pittsburgh Penguins, 3% owned. He's kind of a desperation ad, but he's really hot right now. He's putting up points left and right, and nobody really expected that from him. I really like Michael Matheson as a defenseman. Obviously, he's not going to put points up every single game here on out, but if you are really desperate, well, Michael Matheson is a guy that could put up a few points here and there. Other guys that you could look at on Pittsburgh are Dumoulin and Cody Ceci, who also happen to be putting up points right now. Absolutely not sustainable at all, but if you are really desperate and in a really deep league and you just really need a defenseman, while those guys are hot right now, you might as well stream them. And last but not least is Mike Riley, Ottawa Senators. 3% owned, and he's on a 5-game assist streak. He's doing very well. He's getting a lot of power play time. So, he's not a great option, but he is definitely someone that you can take if there is nobody else available. Should put up some points. Jumping into some goalies now, first and second on the list are the Columbus goalies, and I don't absolutely love them, but if you absolutely need a goalie, well, they're decent options and should put up wins every now and then. They'll start about 50% of the games each. Next is Ben Bishop, Dallas Stars, 47% owned, and he should be back very, very soon, along with Tyler Seguin. So if either of those guys are floating on your waiver wire, you can pick them up. Definitely Tyler Seguin is prioritized over Ben Bishop. But if you really need a goalie, well, Ben Bishop is someone that you can definitely stream. He should get about half the starts once he comes back, which should be in the next week or two. Next, Ilya Sorokin, New York Islanders, 46% owned, and I don't absolutely love him, but he's getting half the starts again, and he's played pretty well in his last couple of games. So he makes for a good guy to add if you need, if you really need a goalie to get half the starts. Next is Jake Allen, Montreal Canadiens, 34% owned, and he's a guy that you can add only as long as Carey Price is out for. So he's probably a guy that can carry you through this coming week and get you into the playoffs, but absolutely do not rely on him once you are in the playoffs because Carey Price should be back. Next are the LA goalies, Cal Peterson and Jonathan Quick, 29 and 17% owned. They split the games about 50-50. Obviously, Cal Peterson has been the better goalie, although he hasn't been that great recently. But if you do need a goalie that's going to get you half the starts and put up some decent numbers, well, you could do worse than Cal Peterson or Jonathan Quick. Next is Aiden Hill, Arizona Coyotes, 27% owned, and he's been very, very good for Arizona ever since taking over the starting duties. Now, how much longer is he going to have those duties? I'm not 100% sure, but he should at least have them for this coming week. So he's another guy that can carry you through this week, but not necessarily through the playoffs. Next is Linus Ullmark, Buffalo Sabres, 24% owned, and he's a guy that gets pelted with shots every single game. So if your league relies on saves and not necessarily wins, well, Ullmark's going to get you a lot of points. Next is Jeremy Swayman, Boston Bruins, 15% owned, and he's a super short-term ad because I know Tuukka Rask is around the corner from returning. So as soon as he does, Swayman's going to stop getting starts. Well, until he does, Swayman's been very, very good for Boston. Now, other guys that you can consider streaming are players that play on the teams that have those off nights, like I mentioned earlier. If you really need players on teams with off nights, if you don't, then just stream anybody. But you can stream a guy like Chandler Stevenson, a guy like Yafalo, a guy like Nichushkin, or a guy like Zegers. All right, guys, you've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I really appreciate it. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, ask me a fantasy hockey related question. I'll be happy to answer you. Until next time, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.